Number 8. Ink Slave. The Adeptus Administratum is the engine that keeps the Imperium chugging along, all thanks to a mountain of paperwork. Scribes are the unsung heroes of this bureaucratic machine, dedicating their lives to copying data scrolls, updating ledgers, and verifying planetary tithes. Their work is everywhere, from Astra Militarum logistics to population audits and Prometheum quotas. You can find them stacked floor to ceiling in the sprawling archives of hive spires on Terra and Necromunda, in places where sunlight hasn't shone in centuries. A scribe's role may seem straightforward, but it's an endless grind. They meticulously transcribe orders by hand, ensure every document is stamped with the right authority, and keep records that span thousands of years. Just one clerical mistake can spell doom for a planet, and the Adeptus Arbits won't think twice about executing someone for misplacing a single form. These scribes often find themselves literally tied to their desks and pulling 18-hour shifts. Some spend their entire lives updating records for wars that ended a millennium ago, and the Administratum refers to this as continuity. Imagine dying of paper cuts, boredom, or starvation. Whichever comes first. You will be replaced before your body is cold, and your work will be archived, misfiled, and lost. You are not a clerk, but the cogitator's emotional support animal. Scribes' existence is marked by fatigue and neglect, yet they are spared the violence, radiation, and horrors that others in the Imperium face. Their suffering is slow and silent, which is why they hold the lowest place on this list. Number 7. Void Mule. Life aboard Imperial void ships is no walk in the park. Most of the crew aren't high-ranking officers or skilled specialists. They're just regular workers stuck in this life for generations. These men and women live and die on the same decks, never once feeling the solid ground beneath their feet. The Navis Imperialis has a rather grim term for them: non-commissioned labor stock. If this kind of grind suits you, your daily tasks involve cleaning reactor vents, repairing plasma conduits, and patching up damage from macro cannon fire, all while being soaked in radiation and machine oil. Your living space is a cramped metal box with a leaky pipe and a view of absolutely nothing. Meals consist of nutrient paste and recycled air, and your idea of entertainment is the constant hum, or sometimes the agonizing scream, of the warp engine. Things get even darker during warp travel. When the Geller field wavers, demons can slip through the cracks. Entire compartments can disappear overnight, and crew members might lose their sanity to the whispers that seep through the bulkheads. If someone goes missing, their name is quietly scrubbed from the manifest. Every ship that survives a warp jump is essentially a coffin, keeping its ghosts locked in. The suffering of the Void crew seems endless, yet they still have minds, memories, and fears. That fragile spark of humanity keeps them just above the lowest rank. They endure horror and isolation, but they remain aware, which is why they hold the 7th spot on this list. Number 6. Agri-World Laborers. Agri-worlds are the lifeblood of the Imperium, planets like Kairos and Valhalla that exist solely to produce food for hive cities and guard regiments. Yet the farmers on these worlds rarely get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Their lives are dictated by the Imperial tithe, which demands that nearly every calorie be shipped off to other worlds. If they fall short of their quotas, the Adeptus Arbits show up with shock troops and firing lines. These laborers toil from dawn till dusk under harsh suns and pesticide-laden winds. Their hands are rough from working with ammonia-soaked soil, and their lungs ache from chemical exposure. They crash in cramped barracks next to engines that never seem to stop. Massive crawler harvesters hum across the fields day and night. They grow food they never taste, until soil that's been requisitioned by the Departamento Munitorum. They herd groks that are more valuable than them, and they are basically peasants in a feudal system that forgot to include the feast part. These farmers are often overlooked by history, buried beneath the very soil they cultivate. Their suffering is slow and constant, and they endure a lifetime filled with exhaustion and hunger, but it's less deadly than the horrors experienced by the next ones on the list. Number 5. Imperial Miners. Mining worlds like Cathalamor, Krieg, and Bellis Corona are the lifeblood of the Imperium's war machine. These planets are rich in ore, promethium, and adamantium, the raw materials used to build titans and armor void ships. But the miners who extract these resources are treated as disposable tools. Most live in underground hab blocks buried miles beneath the surface. Every day, they descend into unstable tunnels filled with gas pockets, collapsing shafts, and even warp anomalies. Overseers push them to exhaustion, and when cave-ins bury hundreds, no one bothers to dig them out. By middle age, many miners suffer deformities, organ failure, or cancer because of constant radiation, and when they die, their bodies are recycled, turned into corpse starch or labor fuel. Entire planets like Orestes and Akatran have had their atmospheres stripped bare, sacrificed to feed the Forge world's endless hunger for materials. Miners work in darkness, surrounded by danger with no hope of escape. They die alone, crushed by the very industry they serve. Their suffering is more violent and deadly than that of agri-workers, but they still retain their minds and identities. They are broken by the machine, not absorbed into it, which places them just above the halfway mark on this list. Number 4. Forge World Laborers. To be born here is literally a death sentence. Children are cataloged at birth, their bone density and lung capacity. Their parents and forefathers were laborers who were also conditioned from childhood to fear the machine god and honor tech priests as divine messengers. Forge worlds like Mars and Metallica are industrial giants, planets covered in endless factories known as the Manufactoria Omnissiah. Under the watchful eye of the Adeptus Mechanicus, billions of workers work day and night 24/7 to produce weapons, vehicles, and armor for the Imperium's eternal wars. By age 5, they are assigned a function. Some are sent to the data mines, where they transcribe ancient schematics in freezing vaults. Others are trained to operate assembly servitors, as their small hands are ideal for calibrating delicate components. Human workers here are called indentured labor servitors. They breathe air thick with smog and machine oil. When their lungs fail, tech priests install augmetic replacements to keep production going. If a worker loses an arm, they're fitted with a mechanical limb and sent back to the line within the hour. A normal workday only goes from bad to worse, as explosions and plasma leaks caused by so-called displeased machine spirits can wipe out entire shifts. Forge laborers live on the edge of humanity, dedicating their lives to the grind of the machine, slowly losing both their bodies and minds in the process. That slow erasure from cradle to the grave earns them the 4th place on this list. Number 3, Penal Legionnaires. The Penal Legions are drawn from the darkest corners of the Imperium's prison systems. Criminals are all given a second chance, but not one they asked for. Fitted with explosive collars and neural control rigs, they're handed lasguns and thrown into the front lines of war. Their lives are measured in compliance points. One wrong move, one moment of hesitation, and the collar detonates. Overseers don't issue warnings to them, they simply press the buttons. Penal troops are sent ahead of regular guard units to clear minefields, absorb enemy fire, or trigger ambushes. Commanders call them bioammunition, and that's exactly how they're used. A soldier who survives long enough and follows every order might earn a pardon, but records show that fewer than 1 in 10,000 ever make it. Most in the Suicide Squad die screaming in battle, or are executed afterward for retreating a step too soon. Their job is to die, loudly, messily, and in a way that makes the real soldiers look good. Penal Legionnaires live in constant fear, and their suffering is violent and often meaningless, but they still have minds, choices, and a sliver of hope. However slim, that fragile thread of humanity keeps them just above the final 2 entries. Number 2, Corpse-Starch Bakers. On hive worlds like Necromunda, Scintilla, and Gunmetal City, the Corpse Guilds manage one of the Imperium's most unsettling industries, transforming the dead into food. These guilds run enormous corpse starch refineries, where thousands of bodies are processed daily into a nutrient paste. The end product is a protein block that sustains billions throughout the Imperium. Legally backed by the Departamento Munitorum, the guilds are responsible for corpse reclamation efficiency. In practice, they act as a grim cast of undertakers and industrial cannibals. Workers spend their days in the stench of decay, shoveling cadavers into steel grinders and bone furnaces. The air is thick with rot, and the walls bear the stains of centuries of death. Disease thrives in the corpse halls, and few workers last long. Many resort to drugs to numb their senses. Even worse, some become addicted to the very paste they help create. These workers are the lifeblood of the hive cities, but it comes at a horrific price. They blur the line between the living and the dead, as corpse starch processors exist in a constant state of filth, disease, and psychological anguish. Their work is grotesque and dehumanizing, placing them neck and neck with the final entry. Number 1, Servitors. You were once a man, perhaps a criminal, a heretic, or simply unlucky enough to be born in the wrong hive block. Now you are a servitor. You are what happens when the Imperium needs cheap labor and decides that death is a luxury. The process kicks off with a brain wipe. You get strapped onto a table, and the Adeptus Mechanicus erases your personality through lobotomy, drugs, or some arcane neural surgery. Servitors are replaced with data slates, augmetics, and programming. Suddenly, you find yourself in a body you can't control with mechanical limbs, cybernetic ports, data jacks, or even construction tools bolted right into your spine. Combat servitors are armed and dispatched into battle by the Inquisition or Skitarii forces, while labor servitors are integrated into reactors, assembly lines, or ship hulls, working endlessly for centuries. They don't eat, sleep, or take breaks, and their organic parts decay faster than the machines that keep them functioning. When they finally break down, they don't even get a retirement. Instead, they're scavenged for parts and recycled. Servitors are in every corner of the Imperium, doing other mindless tasks as weapon mounts and living batteries for ancient devices. They're stripped of their status as a people and exist only as biomechanical tools for Imperial machinery. Every other job on this list involves some form of suffering or death, but servitors are denied even that. They're trapped in a mechanical shell, deprived of dignity and identity, a fate worse than death with no chance of escape. That's why they hold the title of the worst job in the Imperium. Thank you for watching my rundown on the worst jobs in the Imperium. Let me know in the comments which job you take, or click here for more ranking videos.